Welcome back. If you just joined us, we've been looking at Nigeria's power sector roadmap. And our guest has been the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola. Join us again. Let's come back to the issue of the metering system, because your intervention now is like deregulating the metering system. There seems to be a seeming inconsistency. You are a lawyer primarily, and now you said that you are concerned with the issue of policy. Now, intervening in the area
it's not what I'm concerned with, it's what the law prescribes.
What the law prescribes. But you've permit me to use the word, you've taken a decisive action when it comes to the issue of metering now. So how do you explain that?
Again, the law permits me to, by policy, get organs who are institutional creations of that law to do what they were created to do. One of the things that the law provides for is that nobody has a monopoly over anything in the industry unless your license, you were issued with a specific license that actually says you have this monopoly. So it means that there is scope to register more players. So as you have privatized generation, you have privatized transmission, you have privatized distribution, even though the privatized side of transmission is now owned by government, okay? It's now a private company. It's now a company rather than a government. This is a company owned by government, TCN. Why can't you create a new class of service providers whose job is just metering? Because I say this and people seem to misunderstand it, and I will try to clarify it again, because there's nothing really ambiguous about it. The core business of the discos is to distribute power, not to sell meters. And I hope you can follow this reason.
Okay.
Their core business is to bring energy to my house. Their core business is not to sell meters. But they need meters in order to measure the amount of energy that they bring to my house and to be able to bill me. I also would like to have that meter so that I know that I am paying for what I have used. But the core business of the disco is transformers, lines, circuit breakers, ring mains units. That's their core business. That's where they should be investing. So if you draw the analogy with the telcos, just let me make this point, very important for your viewers. With the telcos, their core business is to give you connectivity, not to sell you phones. So some of them started selling phones and they've left the business. And that is the same analogy here, that if some people can sell meters effectively, let them do so. So that the limited resources of the discos is then concentrated on developing their own core business instead of spending it on meters.
Now, still on investment in the power sector, it's also a time where we discovered that looking at the outlook of the power sector, the ecosystem, if you permit me to use that word, investors are now giving consideration to the hybrid off-grid system. Do you think this leads the way to the future in terms of achieving incremental and uninterrupted power supply in the country?
It is not just the way to the future, it is the way to today. Because what most nations of the world are doing is actually trying to get the cheapest source of energy possible. So the quest for solar, the quest for renewable energy is actually the quest for cheap energy. That's really it. But once it's cheap is looking to affordability. That has been the history of mankind really in its energy search. It moved first from wood to coal, to petroleum, to gas, and now it's looking at solar panels. It's a continuing search for the cheapest form of energy to deal with our increasing need for energy. Our need for energy have increased, right?
How soon can that be installed?
It's already in place, and I think we need to be more observant everywhere you go. And I think you need to look more around your country. Everywhere you go, you are seeing more roof panels with solar panels on them. It's already in place. The rapidity with which we deploy is a function now of time. People are giving up their generators for solar panels. It's already happening. We are building more hydropower. Those are renewables. And people are doing all sorts of things. Solar home systems. Those are renewables. So it's already happening.
But I understand that investors are scared of the risk threshold in terms of selling to the consumers. They rather prefer the government to spend their money on this.
That's an interesting point you raise. And it's a very beautiful point. And that's why I've been saying that the investors must redesign their model. Because the people who sell generators don't come to government. And they get to the consumers. And people are buying. So the people who are also selling solar panels for rooftop, they don't come to anybody in government for guarantees. So it's just replacing what we know. It's a mindset switch for us.
You've said as much for the power sector because we can't afford to neglect other area of key infrastructure. On roads now, could you give us a status update on your roadmap for the road sector?
What is happening is that the president's infrastructure strategy has delivered, without a doubt, on the economy. That was the way out of recession. That was what energized the mining sector, which had suffered 9 negative quarters. And if you count 9 negative quarters back to 2017, you'll be going back to around 2014, 2015. But immediately we started spending on the roads. The demand for laterite, for sand, for limestone, for bitumen went up. What did that trigger? It triggered transportation need. It triggered the need for petroleum products, lubricants. It triggered the need for manufacturing.
But there seems to be a political angle to this. Recently, you were on a tour to the northwest, the southeast, but not south-south. Is it that there are no federal government projects in the south-south? Because recently, the governor of Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike, said that there's no federal government presence in his state.
In specific response to Rivers, I know that the Enugu-Port Harcourt road serves Rivers State because it originates from Port Harcourt and ends in Enugu. The entire road network is about 156 billion naira. The section of Port Harcourt to Aba is 34 billion. That part I know is in Rivers State. They haven't excised it yet from Rivers State. There is a bridge that links Bodo and Bonny. To the best of my knowledge, those communities are in Rivers State. It's a 120 billion naira project funded jointly by the federal government and the NLNG. It started in 1974 or thereabouts. 2 failed efforts to construct it until President Buhari decided that this must be done. The contractor has been mobilized, is on site, and is working. And that place, to the best of my knowledge, is in Rivers State.
Talking about housing now, could you also update us to your national housing program? How far have you gone with this intervention?
We are at the pilot phase where we are trying to test what people will accept and what they can afford. We are building in 33 states at the moment. And you will see that even on my tour of the Southeast, I went through all of the sites. There, everywhere I go, I check, I see. We're building in 33 states that are giving us land. Rivers, I think, gave us land not too long ago, and so we haven't started building there. We're having issues with site preparation and all of that.
The major economic template and intervention of the federal government is summarized under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan.
Yeah.
So before we wind down this conversation now, what would you say has been the contribution of the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing to this ERGP?
Well, we have delivered and continue to deliver on our own action points. Our own action points is infrastructure, the road transport network, increased energy supply, and if you look at the National Bureau of Statistics report from 2017, constantly power sector has been growing, electricity has been growing. Fact check and fact proof that. So, and we have also impacted by extension on the diversification plan of the ERGP itself to create new economies in mining and in agri. Now, how do we do that? Our roads are strengthening agricultural capacities, moving food to market. They are also a catalyst for growth in the mining sector, based on the policies that the Minister for Solid Minerals has enunciated to ease mining activities. So it's a cross-cutting connectivity of interministerial relationship, but we are delivering on our mandate, and we remain committed to doing so.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, thank you so much for making our time to break down some of these complex aspects of infrastructure, government infrastructure intervention in the lives of Nigerians. Thank you very much indeed. Wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it on this episode of Question Time from Channels Television. You can also send us feedback on power supply situation within your area on our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can join us next week on a fresh episode of the show. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashiro. Bye for now.